also see that both the cacti and succulent are mixes. This means that there are a variety of different cacti and succulents within each packet. This will give you the optimum amount of sprouting per packet. Now, keep in mind, you will have a variety of different plants pop up out of the soil. It's very common to see a few that look like grass. Don't worry, they'll turn into succulents.
Another thing to keep in mind is that cacti and succulents are used to living out here in the desert, where it's dry and hot all the time. So getting them started in the wintertime is a bit of a challenge. Trying to keep them nice and hot with the right amount of moisture and the right amount of dryness is kind of challenging. So make sure you have a spray bottle on hand and some sort of warming device. Sometimes we like to recommend you getting a warming mat or just a really hot spot in your house. When you're ready to plant up your soaked seeds, which is very important, make sure you soak your seeds for about 24 hours before putting them in the soil. Also make sure that you hydrate your soil disc with about a cup of hot water per soil disc. Sometimes you need more, sometimes a little bit less. Now make sure that your soil is damp but not soaking. You don't want to see any water squeezed out, and put it in your little guy. But don't make it full all the way to the top. We need to save a little bit of space to amend the soil a little bit. Now we found that adding a little bit of gravel or sand, I've gone out to the desert to get some, into your soil helps it out tremendously. Now these rocks are going to act as like little heating coils in your soil. So when those heat up, they're going to keep the soil nice and hot, and that's what your cacti and succulent seeds are going to want. So I usually do about a tablespoon, sometimes 2 tablespoons per little pot, and I mix it in, grab a little bit, mix it in, just so that it's a good blend. You don't want it to be all of the soil disc. Now you can do just the soil disc, and you'll have some, well, you can have pretty great success, but this is even better. Now when you go to plant your seeds, when you scoop them out of your water, some people like to drain their water out. I think it's easier to grab them when they're floating. Just place them on top of the soil and then scratch them very gently in. You don't want to bury them too deep. They're not very strong at poking through rocks and soil, so you want to make sure that they could find the sunshine pretty easily. Now if you look, I've got a little leaf in there, but they're just underneath the soil, and that's where you're going to want them to be. Now after you've got them planted, go ahead and put them in your nice hot location. One more thing that you absolutely have to keep in mind is that cacti and succulents take a long time. They could take up to 45 to 90 days to actually sprout. So if you don't see any action within the first week or two, just be patient. It'll take a little while. And any time that temperature deviates from about that 75, 70, even 80 degree range, it's going to reset that sprouting time clock. So it's really important to try to keep them in a very temperature controlled location where they could stay warm all the time. Close to windows isn't always the best spot because winter drafts, and any drafts really, can cool down that soil and restart your germination clock. So remember, if you want the best sprouting success out of your cacti and succulents, keep them hot. We're talking 80 degrees hot. We're talking about steamy hot. So keep that in mind when you're placing them within your house. Number 2, make sure you soak them really good. They need that 24-hour hot water soak, otherwise they will not sprout. That replicates the monsoon season here in the desert. Very, very important. Last but not least, amending just a little bit of this wonderful desert sand or playbox sand, beach sand, whatever sandy area is around you is crucial to that soil if you want the best sprouting success out of those cacti and succulents. Now I'm lucky out here. I got sand galore. You might even have to go down to Home Depot, Lowe's, big box store, independent garden center, wherever you want to go and get just a little old bag of sand. It'll make a world of difference just keeping that soil hot. Now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please make sure you reach out to us. We've got several ways that you could contact us. You could email us at wecare@shopgardenrepublic.com. We've got an awesome instant messaging bot icon down at the bottom of that website. Or you can find us on Facebook. We have a very, very active growing community. It's the Garden Republic growing community. And we're on there all the time answering questions, trying to help you get the most out of the seeds. So please contact us, and best of luck with your seeds. Happy growing, everybody.